listeners, to another episode of the Panel Pals Podcast, the comic book podcast for thinkers. We're your hosts, Jack Stewardson
and Diane Hitchings.
Live from Phantom Power Press Studios.
Woo! I'm back in Alberta.
Woo! How's your trip?
Ooh, great. Yes, feeling very Albertan today. I drove an F-150 on the Yellowhead. I'm back, baby. So Alberta. Woo! But, yes, very funny that, it's super rainy here right now.
Yeah, you brought the weather with you,
Oopsie.
It feels like.
No, but, literally, everyone's like, oh, the West Coast is so wet. Only for half the year.
Yeah.
It's currently in the dry season, which means it might rain in October now.
Yeah.
Oops.
That's okay. We'll take all the rain we can get after our massive heat wave.
No kidding.
This episode, we're going to be chatting a little bit about Fantastic Four. Right off the hop, Diane, what's your experience with the Fantastic Four? Do you have any thoughts going in before we get into the intro?
I mean, for my history with the Fantastic Four, it's, a decent amount of superheroes. My introduction was with the movies, because there was a Fantastic Four movie way back whenever. I've read some of the comics before, and I've definitely seen them. I've, discussed them in, academic settings before. And, they're superheroes. Like the rest of them.
Okay. Fair enough.
I don't have an extensive history, but at least I know who they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good enough. That's a good start, I think. I'll maybe get into my history with the team after the introduction. So without ado, and I apologize, I wrote 13 pages.
How many?
It won't be that long. It might be a little bit shorter than you think.
How many pages is it?
I think it's 13.
Oh, wowie.
Yeah.
We're writing full essays here.
Yeah.
Okay, wow.
That then was the Catoon period, when the Spaniards first arrived. Here in these lands, on the 7th measure tune of 11 Ahau, was also the Catoon period that began Christianity. In the year of our Lord 1519, at that time there was Zulim Chan. At that time there were Western Chontao. Hungering were the trees. Hungering were the rocks. The destroyer hunger was during the Catoon of the Lord of 11 Ahau. 11 Ahau was the beginning of the count, because this was the Catoon when the foreigners arrived. Excerpt from the Mayan account of the Spanish conquest, 1540 through 1546, in the Chilam Balam of Chumayel. In its original Greek, the word cosmos is defined as the order and harmony by which the universe is arranged. It's from this definition that we can understand how it would become conflated with our earliest understandings of celestial bodies, made up, of course, of the Greek pantheon of gods and heroes. Just as long as we've had gods and laws, mankind has also questioned, challenged, or outright defied them. In Aeschylus' Prometheus Bound, a tragic Greek reinvention of Hesiod's Theogony, the titular champion of mankind is chained to the rocks of Scythia as punishment by Zeus for gifting the lowly humans fire and creativity. While chained, an eagle, the symbol of Zeus, would swoop down and eat Prometheus's liver, what the Greeks believed to be a person's emotional core, only for it to regenerate by the following morning. The only surviving installment of a trilogy of plays, Prometheus Bound would have been followed by Prometheus Unbound, wherein the Firebringer would inevitably be freed by Hercules, Zeus's half-human son. In Genesis 32:22 through 32:32, Jacob, after having visions of a great stairway to heaven, sends his wives and sons across the Zarqua River. Jacob is left alone to wrestle the angel of the Lord, in order to receive a blessing and safe passage to his destined Holy Land. He wins the fight, despite a grave thigh injury, and is granted the blessing as well as the title of Israel, meaning God's holy people. In the book of Jonah, its titular figure abandons his mission from the Lord to warn the Ninevites of the prophecy of God's wrath, instead sailing to Tartash. Jonah is punished by being tossed overboard by his crew and swallowed whole by a great fish. After Jonah repents, he is freed from the belly of the beast and sets out to complete his divine mission. He delivers the news of Nineveh's coming destruction, and all of Nineveh is humbled. Jonah is distraught as he learns Nineveh is also to be spared by the Lord after their own repentance, and is cursed to slowly wither in the Mesopotamian heat. All religions bring a certain amount of supernaturalism and dogma, which plenty of folks find hard to swallow. One of the most prominent arguments in favor of rational atheism is the question of evil. How can one reconcile an all-powerful, loving God who also allows all the evils of the world to exist? Is this God not undermined by the cruelty of the universe? While this may puzzle those of moral-based faiths, one can make the counter-argument that humans, given only a limited capacity to understand, perhaps cannot comprehend an omnipotent divine plan. Moreover, how would a rationalist argue against the possibility of a cruel, unfeeling God? We can look perhaps to Friedrich Nietzsche's relationship with religion. As Nietzsche describes, man's repentance against religion is always been not faith, but the freedom from faith. A half-stoical and smiling unconcern with the seriousness of faith that enraged slaves in their masters, against their masters. Enlightenment enrages, for the slave wants the unconditional. He understands only what is tyrannical, in morals too. He loves as he hates, without nuance, to the depths, to the point of pain, of sickness. His abundant concealed suffering is enraged against the noble taste that seems to deny suffering. Or to put it in another context, it is in the best interest of an oppressed or colonized people to rebel against religiosity. The Zen koan puts it even more succinctly. When you meet the Buddha on the road, kill him. The fear of omnipotent evil weighed heavy on the minds of writers and readers in the early mid-20th century. Industrialization and advances in literacy allowed people not only the ability to read, but also gave them the time to ponder on their relationship with religion and their place in the universe. After the First World War, regular folks had plenty of meaningless cruelty to justify. These were the circumstances that the genre of cosmic horror began to take root. H.P. Lovecraft, influenced by a disruptive family upbringing, his father was institutionalized when Lovecraft was 3, and inspired by Gothic literature, fabricated a new philosophy of prose in the pages of weird pulp magazines. Dubbed cosmicism, Lovecraft's work centered on the decline of society in the face of forbidden knowledge from an older, extraterrestrial realm, set in the dreary backyard of New England. As Lovecraft describes in the letters pages of Weird, now all my tales are based on the fundamental premise that common human laws and interests and emotions have no validity or significance in the vast cosmos at large. To me, there is nothing but purality in a tale in which the human form and the local human passions and conditions and standards are depicted as native to other worlds or other universes. To achieve the essence of real externality, whether of time or space or dimension, one must forget that such things as organic life, good and evil, love and hate, and all such local attributes of a negligible and temporary race called mankind have any existence at all. Of course, the existential mercilessness of Cthulhu and Dagon were born from anti-social prejudices rather than genuine profound introspection. Lovecraft's writings are dogged by white supremacy, as was his personal life. Professor Angel's expeditions into the Cyclopean city of Cthulhu at once debases the diabolical African voodoo cults who worship the Old One, and fetishizes the Chinese historian whom he gets directions from, while simultaneously ignoring the fact that both of those non-white characters had discovered the very real Elder God before any white man had. Similarly, the mer-god Dagon, who appears in the self-titled short story, as well as The Shadow over Innsmouth, is appropriated wholesale from Syrian mythology. Lovecraft and his work demonstrate the fallacy of colonialist writing. Sometimes something is only scary because it's foreign. Just as when the conquistadors and other early European explorers arrived on the shores of the two Americas, the discovery of lost civilizations or cultures were invented to explain when people were never truly lost. The New World was never truly new. Other people were there, even if they were afraid to see them. To borrow a John Carpenter quote from a 2011 interview with Vulture, there are two different stories in horror, internal and external. In external horror films, the evil comes from the outside, the other tribe, this thing in the darkness that we don't understand. Internal is the human heart. In the real world, the monsters were never truly out there, in the shadows. They were inside us all along. In 1961, Marvel Comics was in the business of making monsters. They were also a third-rate comic book publisher, churning out all kinds of romance, western, and war, and any other genre that was being explored by the competition. But their biggest contributions to the medium at that time were monster comics. Two of their most prolific creators, Jack Kirby and Stan Lee, were both raised on a healthy diet of mythology, notably Norse and Germanic folktales in Kirby's case, classic literature, pop cinema, and pulp fiction. In 1961, Lee was beginning to feel stressed by the outlook on his career, as several blows to the medium began to take their toll all at once. A moral panic over sex, violence, and horror imagery in comics, and the enforcement of regulations by the Comics Code Authority had essentially killed any chance the medium had at maturation on the newsstand. The sudden death of Joe Manley, whom Lee considered his best artist, had also taken a heavy toll on the writer and editor. Lee was about to give up comics. Kirby didn't have it any easier. After quote-unquote amicably dissolving his partnership with longtime collaborator Joe Simon in 1955, and having burned bridges at the leading publishers DC and Crestwood, Kirby found his way back to his old stomping ground of Marvel Comics. This all despite harboring bad feelings with then-named Atlas Comics after being dumped in 1957 during an industry dry spell and mass layoffs. Publisher Martin Goodman tasked Lee to come up with a new superhero title after hearing rival publisher DC had hit big with their reworked superheroes. Lee in turn brought Kirby on board to develop a brand new kind of postmodern superhero, given free rein to do whatever they wanted. Lee and Kirby created a team of characters that could backdoor as a monster book if the superhero floor fell out from under them. We've all heard the Norm Macdonald bit, so I assume everyone knows the rest of the story. 4 astronauts commandeer their own shuttle, and, bombarded by cosmic rays, are granted strange powers beyond those of mortal men. Sue Storm gains power over the visible light spectrum and becomes the Invisible Girl. Benjamin Grimm gains a rocky exterior that matches his personality, becoming the Thing. Sue's kid brother, Johnny, could spontaneously combust, yet remain unharmed, and in some creative copyright maneuvering, became the Human Torch. And finally, their brilliant leader, Reed Richards, who could stretch any part of himself to near infinite mass, became Mr. Fantastic. The quartet vow to continue to explore and safeguard the universe from those as strange as themselves. Fantastic Four was a huge seller, dubbed the world's greatest comic magazine, and inspired a silver age of superhero characters in its wake. By March 1966, the book had published 48 full-length issues and 3 oversized annuals. The FF had battled with and against numerous iconic allies and foes. Lee and Kirby developed a new collaborative workflow known as the Marvel Method. In Lee's own words, "I would just give Jack the plot, the idea for the story, but I wouldn't tell him how to draw it. Jack would take that idea and do it his own way and in his own style, and he would often add his own thoughts and his own concepts that hadn't even occurred to me. Lee would then fill in the word balloons and captions after art had been completed. Oftentimes, a simple phone call between Lee and Kirby would make up the story planning, and Kirby often wrote suggested dialogue in the margins of his pages. While this kind of collaboration allowed artistic freedom and time for Lee to write, edit, and provide art direction on multiple titles at once, it also put most of the burden on artists. This brings to question the division of labor and the degree of creative credit deserved between Lee and Kirby. While the initial issues of Fantastic Four were episodic and self-contained adventures, by issue 35, the creators had begun including overarching, multi-part plots and interwoven crossovers between the rest of the Marvel line. In preparation for the title's 50th issue, Lee and Kirby knew they had to do something big for the book. On one fateful day, Lee called up Kirby to break down the plot for a 3-part spectacular to celebrate their golden anniversary. A discussion that might have gone a little something like this. And now, Diane, I'm going to ask you to be part of the introduction.
Mm-hmm.
Can you narrate and provide direction for this radio play I wrote?
Yes. Which part am I?
You are everything that is italicized. Is that okay?
Yes.
And Editor Jack, this is where you put Foley in, okay? The Birth of Galactus, a radio play in 1 act by Jack Stewartson.
Interior. Evening. A small brick studio inside a Lower East Side apartment. A thin standing lamp illuminates a short, hunched-over figure, hurriedly yet silently sketching at a wooden drawing board. He puffs on a stogie as his hand moves vigorously across the 11-by-17 page in front of him. Affixed to the wall opposite the man is a rotary phone. The phone begins to ring loudly. The man, lost in his work, ignores it. The phone rings again. The man awakens from his trance. He shifts off his stool, Grumbling as he hobbles towards the phone, it rings once more.
Hold your friggin' horses.
The man picks the phone off the receiver and jolts it to his head.
Kreisberg residence.
A muddled Manhattan accent comes from the receiver.
Hello? Sorry, I can't hear ya. Could you speak up?
Kirby takes the cigar out of his mouth.
Kreisberg residence.
The voice, now excited, erupts from the receiver.
Well, if it isn't Jack, the king of comics, Kirby, it's your old pal and Generalissimo, Stan the Man Lee calling.
Kirby cuts him off.
Cut the crap, Stan. I knew you since you was in Little Pants. Don't give me that fanboy stuff.
Serious business as always. No wonder they call you Jolly Jack.
Only you call me Jolly Jack.
There's a brief, awkward pause.
Listen, if this is about those Nick Fury pages, they're almost done. I'll have them and the last batch of those Thors in the office tomorrow before noon.
That's great, Jack. You know you're my number one guy.
Kirby rolls his eyes.
Yeah, sure, Stan.
Another half-second of awkward silence.
Say, wait a minute. I'm still waiting on a script for next month's FF.
Oh, that's right, Jack. Gee, you know, me and my memory.
Listen, Stan, I can't get no pages done till I get a plot.
Right again, Jack. Let me see here. Last issue,
we were wrapping up the Medusa storyline.
Yeah, that's right, with King Bluebolt and the mutants.
That's Black Bolt and the Inhumans.
Gee, you keep these goofy names better than I do. Yeah, now I remember. We got issue 50 coming up.
Any thoughts, genius?
Jack, I just remembered. I had a great idea for the 50th issue. A tale so epic, we could stretch it out to a 3-parter. Kids will love it.
Sounds like me doing more of your job for you, but okay. Shoot.
Next issue of Fantastic Four. The FF. Fight God.
Kirby's jaw drops in pure stupid astonishment of the 3-word pitch. Another long beat of awkward silence.
What?
Okay, Jack, I know you got a lot on your plate, so I won't keep you. Goodbye.
Stan, wait!
Stan's line hangs up, leaving Kirby with only dial tone to answer his questions. The puzzled Kirby hangs up the phone.
Fantastic Four fight God? How the hell am I supposed to draw that? Kirby, having developed an eye for psychedelic imagery and abstract design, created this new god, a giant humanoid, adorned in purple, non-Euclidean armor, crescented with a big G at the center of his chest, a massive helmet with piercing antlers, and a battle skirt. Named Galactus, Kirby's design brings to mind both Lovecraft's architectural descriptions as well as Mayan and Aztec sculptures of Quetzalcoatl. What was most curious, at least to Lee, was the inclusion of a nude, featureless humanoid aboard a flying surfboard. Dubbed the Silver Surfer, Lee cites Kirby as the sole creator of the character. The Galactus Trilogy opens in the depths of the 5th quadrant of the Andromeda Galaxy, as the ominous figure of the Silver Surfer narrowly avoids the homeworld of previously established FF enemies, the Skrulls. Meanwhile, on Earth, the Fantastic Four are on a return trip to New York after their encounter with the Inhumans. They notice strange celestial phenomena, including 2 suns in the sky erupting into flames. This causes a mass panic on the streets below, and the Torch is blamed for the strange happenings going on. Ben and Johnny try their best to quell the rioters, as the mysterious surfer continues his interstellar journey. Having returned to their headquarters, Sue grows impatient with her husband, Reed, having locked himself in his think tank for hours. Reed emerges with the Watcher, having previously debuted in Fantastic Four 13, who claims responsibility for the recent commotion. Uatu explains he has been trying to hide the Earth from the surfer. It's too little too late, however, as the Skyrider of the Spaceways arrives and signals his master. The Thing belts the Herald, knocking him off the building, but it's all for naught. Galactus arrives, spelling doom for our heroes and the entire world. It's explained Galactus is a world eater, siphoning energy from a planet's natural resources before absorbing it within his massive form. Galactus ignores the humans, scolding the Watcher for appearing to break his vow of non-interference. The FF attempt to battle the giant, but to little effect, leaving Galactus more annoyed than hampered. While the FF retreat, the surfer conveniently falls through the skylight of one Alicia Masters, the blind girlfriend of Ben Grimm. Alicia's gentleness and pleas for sympathy convince the surfer to rebel against his master and defend the human race. Meanwhile, the FF attempt to counterattack, breaking parts of Galactus' terrible machine and knocking the World Eater off the top of a building. Galactus retaliates by summoning his attack drone, the Punisher. Before Johnny can join into the fray, the Watcher assigns him a special task: retrieve the one weapon that could stop the Devourer of Worlds, located somewhere on Galactus' craft. All hope seems lost as Johnny begins to succumb to cosmic insanity, and the remaining Fantastic Three are no match for Galactus' robot. The tides turn in Earth's favor when the Silver Surfer arrives, blasting his former master and entombing him in a cocoon. Galactus is none too pleased with his turncoat herald, and after breaking free, attacks the Surfer. This stalls Galactus long enough for the Human Torch to return in time, having overcome his space madness through sheer force of will with the weapon in tow, the ultimate nullifier. Reed takes the device, and after getting Galactus' attention, promises to use it, threatening to unmake both the godlike being as well as the whole universe. Galactus agrees to leave so long as the weapon is returned, but before exiting, strips the Surfer of his space-traveling capabilities. It seems all is back to normal, except when Alicia arrives, thanking the Surfer for his courage and sacrifice. This bums out a jealous Ben, and he leaves the pair on the roof of the Baxter building to brood about the city streets. An ominous and anonymous figure hears news of the intergalactic attack, and after learning Reed's involvement, threatens retribution against him. Johnny, having just survived existentialism at a cosmic scale, decides to enroll at Metro College. A coda, or perhaps an epilogue to the trilogy, continues in issue 51 of the series. Titled This Man, This Monster, it picks up directly after the team's triumph against Galactus. The Thing, still somberly roaming the rainy New York streets, is hypnotically drawn to the home of the mysterious stranger from the end of issue 50. Using some kind of sci-fi device, the man is able to transfer Ben's cosmically altered outer shell onto himself. Having essentially taken the Thing's place, the incognito assailant breaches the Baxter building, just as Mr. Fantastic requests his aid in testing a new machine, which would allow interdimensional travel. The real Ben Grimm shows up, but his returned visage is unconvincing to his teammates, and he is turned away. Reed enters the portal, leaving the false Thing holding his lifeline. Reed ends up trapped in the void, as positive and antimatter threatens to collide. While this imposter Grimm has the chance to let Reed be atomized, Sue's pleas and a potential side effect of the transmutation gives him a change of heart. It's too little too late, though, as Reed's line snaps. The Ben imposter jumps in after his would-be target, then hurls Mr. Fantastic back through the portal, leaving himself stranded, sacrificing himself for the friend he never had. At the same moment, the real Ben Grimm approaches Alicia's apartment, until he begins to revert back to his orange-hided exterior, the effects of the transference seemingly lasting only as long as both of them were still alive. The grieving Reed and Sue are relieved when they realize their thought-to-be fallen comrade is among the land of the living, recognizing that Ben had indeed been replaced. While their would-be assassin had the appearance of a monster, he died with the nobility of a man. Often considered the best of the Lee Kirby collaborations, the Galactus trilogy's scope and influence remain enormous. Both Galactus and the Silver Surfer have appeared numerous times in both comics and other media. As early as 1967, the Galactus storyline has been adapted in animation, with Silver Surfer getting his own television series in 1998. Lee was so intrigued by the idea of a godlike entity having a lonely yet stoic herald that the Surfer would receive his own title in 1968 as well. Long after their business relationship had dissolved, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby were approached by Fireside Books in 1978 to reimagine the Galactus Silver Surfer mythology for Silver Surfer, The Cosmic Experience, the first original Marvel graphic novel. Tim Story's 2007 film Fantastic Four: The Rise of the Silver Surfer adapted elements of The Coming of Galactus. However, it was critically maligned for its baffling choice of refusing to show the planet Devourer. July 2025 will see the return of Marvel's first family to the silver screen, in, at the time of writing, what appears to be a straight adaptation of the Galactus trilogy, save for a gender-bent Silver Surfer. Clearly, this single plot line carries quite the cultural cachet. As David Wolpe writes in All of the Marvels, Kirby and Lee are so intensely committed to the gravity of their story that it actually delivers the feeling of plummeting towards the void and being miraculously spared. Unlike the nihilism of Lovecraft, the Fantastic Four are akin to Jacob, showing how humanity may wrestle with all manner of god or angel or demon, yet through curiosity and cooperation, we may yet climb our ladders to heaven. How do we circle the Galactus trilogy within the square of cosmic horror? Is the Fantastic Four colonialist literature? If so, who is colonializing whom? The FF or Galactus? Is the Galactus Trilogy worth the reverence it remains to receive? Diane, what did you think of Fantastic Four, the Galactus Trilogy?
I liked it. Yeah, it was pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. Did you think I was going to say I didn't like it, or do you think I was going to say I was going to like it?
Knowing your reputation with American comic books, I feared that you were maybe going to not enjoy this, especially because it is old. It is an old comic. Let's be fair.
Yeah, it's what, like 60s?
Yeah, 19... Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, I mean, when I'm reading something like this, I put myself in the mindset of, like, when it was made. I'm not going to judge it from, like, current standards.
Right, the way you're supposed to critically analyze anything. Yeah.
Because what am I going to do? Sit here and complain about the characterization of Sue?
Let's talk about...
I could!
Let's talk about the four first.
Yeah.
Sue and Reed suck.
Like, in general or in this?
In all of the Lee Kirby issues, they are the two worst characters.
I mean, like,
all the time.
I mean, like, would you say they are the main characters, or would you say Reed is the main character?
I think Stan thinks Reed and Johnny are the main characters.
Mm-hmm.
Kirby thinks Ben and Reed are the main characters. Mm-hmm. Nobody thinks Sue is the main character.
Yeah, but, like, in my opinion, you can usually tell who the main character is in this story because they are the most boring character.
Reed wins. Reed wins that by default. He's not just boring, though, he's mean. He treats Sue like shit in these issues.
Yeah. I mean, like, if you're gonna get married, like, yes, is it kind of, does feel kind of whiny when she's complaining that he's not paying attention to her, like, girly, you married a superhero, this is what happens. But also, yeah, maybe be nicer to her. Don't yell at her when she's in your lap. Like, dick move.
Yeah, she's your wife. Let her know.
Yeah.
You know, the whole world is at stake. You think you'd let your wife know if something was going down first.
Just send her a text.
She's in the other room. That's hilarious. I was thinking this, rereading this, when Sue's like, oh, you'd think my husband would want to hang out with your newly wedded wife. Mm-hmm. What with him jostling around test tubes? It's like he's jerking off in the other room or something. It's like, God, why doesn't he pay attention to me? Why is he always jacking off?
Are they newly married at this point?
Yes, the wedding would have happened in the prior year's annual, I believe. Yeah.
No. Yeah, not a great relationship. It's like they were like, ooh, we have to have a relationship in this series. The girl can't possibly be a standalone character.
Right. And
then they just didn't bother to make it good a relationship.
Yeah.
Like, okay, thanks.
That's a problem with a lot of Stan Lee comics, is the girl is always just the girl, and there's nothing really interesting happening around them, other than maybe they're a little flirty.
Or they have a relationship with one of the characters that are, quote-unquote, more important.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get a little shafted. What do you think about... Who do you prefer more? Because at the time there was this sort of rivalry between who's cooler, the Thing or the Human Torch. What do you think?
I mean, like, they're both more interesting characters than Reed and Sue. Especially at this point, I mean, like, Johnny just had, like, an experience that humans shouldn't have. Whipping through space or... somewhere where humans shouldn't survive?
Yeah, the unknown like, horrors of the universe.
Yeah, and I'm like, you know what? What I would like is, like, how about, like, just a volume or an issue focusing on that? But no, he just immediately goes to college. Is there any, like, further ramifications after this? Other than, like, I think at one point in time, Reed tells him, hey, just forget about it.
I think... Well, of course, after years, almost like 80 years of publication, these characters... get to develop and become more nuanced as modern writers take over. Mm-hmm. I do think eventually it's sort of revealed that Johnny's like cocky nature is a result of like psychic damage of having been an astronaut at 16, having a huge accident, having one of his best friends turn into a weird monster, having his sister married to the guy who caused the accident, and then going on all these strange adventures, including having his mind blown by the infinite universe. I don't think it gets picked up on in the rest of the issues, though, because he just sort of goes to college and he maybe wants to play football, but maybe he doesn't.
Yeah. And then, like, on the other hand, like, the Thing, he is interesting because, like, he has a different personality. Well, I guess he's like Johnny, he's not a scientific more so person here. And, like, well, whatever, Sue doesn't have a personality, so whatever. And so he's more like, straightforward, I just go and punch, and that does help. He breaks Galactus's machine, and, like, that was useful, and everyone's like, oh, we can't do anything to stop him. And he's like, what if I just break stuff? And it's like, yes, good, that works.
It works.
And I'm like, there's that interesting thing about, like, how he looks like a monster, and he feels like he has low self-esteem because of that. Another aspect that I wish it was, like, delved into more. But if I had to pick which one I like better... yeah, probably the Thing.
It's gotta be the Thing, right?
There's more interesting things you can do with his character. I like his insults that he comes up with. I have to incorporate king-sized crumb bum into my vocabulary now.
Yeah, the Stan Lee dialogue. People kind of rag on it these days, but it's so fun. It's so silly and fun.
Yes.
Everything's, that blammed thing over there. No one says blammed. It's not a word. But it's awesome.
Yeah, it has the dialogue definitely, like, helps it have a surprisingly light tone for, like, the world about to die. Yeah, like, the subject matter is very, like, horrifying and serious, but, like, it's kept really light because of the way that people talk. You could have made this so much more horror.
Totally.
If you had used different colors and different, vocabulary, for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that. Speaking of horror, let's talk about maybe Galactus a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think? Is Galactus a credible threat?
Yes.
Is this boring now in a world where every movie it's about the end of the world?
No, I like Galactus as a character. Not the biggest fan of his character design. A little goofy looking. You mentioned in your intro a little bit about his character design, where it was, like, inspired by, like, Lovecraft and, like, Aztec mythology. What do you think about his design?
I love it.
You love it?
I love the antlers. I love the massive... It's like a baseball cap, but like also like a beefeater helmet. I love the battle skirt. I love the big G on his... He comes from an ancient race of beings that come before our universe even existed. But he's got this massive G, English alphabet G on his chest. It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's definitely some parts of that you're like... okay, well, it's hard to believe he's so much above humanity, where I think one time he's like, oh, that's like giving a matchbox to a child that lives in, like, a tinder box or something, and I'm like, that's a strangely human analogy to be using for someone who thinks humans are just ants and you exist so high above that.
Yeah, I guess matches are just universal. Everybody.
I guess so.
Everybody has them.
Yes. But, like, no, I mean, to me, his character design doesn't really speak to, like, how powerful and terrifying he should be. I like the Watcher, that's his name?
Yeah.
I like his character design. He definitely, like, seems like a cerebral, like, philosophical threat that could exist because of the way he's, like, dressed.
Interesting.
So, like, if Galactus would have showed up looking like that, and, like, not like he was, like... because he's, like, super powerful. And he doesn't really... does he, like, physically fight them?
He never...
He, like,
zaps
them. He, like, zaps...
He zaps the Human Torch.
Yeah.
But he's only redirecting the energy of the Human Torch back at the Human Torch.
Yeah, it's like he's not... like, besides the fact that he's huge, which is, like, one way to, like, get across his monumental, sublime power, he's not that much of a physical threat to them. So I wish his character design reflected that a little bit, and he had that more, like... above physical fighting character design that, like, the Watcher has. But I mean, like, then you could also argue the Watcher, his design seems very pacifist, so, like, it fits his character well because he's not actively trying to, like, destroy the planet.
Right.
I think it just boils down to the fact that I think he looks kind of goofy and it's hard to take him seriously, but that is just looking at stuff through a 2025 lens.
It is a little goofy. Kirby is experimenting. I have two notes.
Mm-hmm.
Thing one, it's later established that Galactus doesn't actually look like this. Like, he's not technically a physical being, he's a metaphysical being. Whichever planet he goes to, whatever the collective consciousness of that planet sort of shapes his outer being. In the 80s, he like, it's revealed that, I was actually en route to the Skrulls. I was going to eat their planet. I'm just going to go over there and do that. Clearly the Watcher doesn't give a shit about the Skrulls. So I'm just going to go there. So he goes there, and he looks completely different. He has, like, green skin. He's, like, made of goo. He's, like, more ghost-like.
I love that.
Right.
I super love that.
Which makes this design way more interesting, I think, because it means that The collective consciousness of mankind thinks that a big purple guy is very scary.
Alternatively, you can say, oh, the collective idea of the world is that big white man is scary and going to destroy our world.
Interesting. That
is 100% not on purpose. There's a 0% chance that was the intended thing.
No.
It's cool.
It's awesome.
It fits with your intro a little bit.
Yeah. Now I sound smarter. The other thing I was going to mention, so Uatu, when he was drawing the face, he based his appearance on Orson Welles. That's why he's he's kind of pudgy in these early appearances. Later on, he gets slimmed down and he's got a really big baby head.
I looked at it and I'm like, giant baby.
Yeah. And I think that's just a misinterpretation of Kirby's art. But he is supposed to be like this wise, ultra-knowing figure among the universe. Mm-hmm. How about the Silver Surfer?
I really like the design of the Silver Surfer because it's very simple but it's inhuman at the same time because it eliminates so many of the features, but also big buff shiny dude, big fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like his design. I think it matches his personality. Is he I think he's a pretty popular character, Silver Surfer.
He ebbs and flows. It depends on if Marvel actually likes to use the Fantastic Four or not. Mm-hmm. Certainly in the 60s, he was popular enough that people were basing rock albums on the Silver Surfer.
Cool.
Yeah, that simplicity. As an artist, part of you is like, Kirby, you cheater. You just drew a naked guy and then you didn't color him. But there is something so vexing about a man with no features.
I mean, he's got the facial features. He looks human enough that you can read emotions on him and stuff, and he doesn't seem that inhuman. They could have just made him have a no face.
Right, true.
Then that would be really
way
more cutting corners with the drawing.
Right, yeah.
But I'm like, no, I like him. A thing about him, which I'll say about a lot of things in this, is I wish just delved a little bit more into his character and some of the plot threads. He has this conversation with Alicia.
Yep.
And it feels like it's just running through the motions of what would happen in this type of situation. You're oh, obviously she's going to convince him to become more human and, stop Galactus. It doesn't feel like it took enough time. It's they're just hitting the very bare minimum point form of what would be needed for you to understand that that's what's going to happen. Almost it's just the signifier. Very quick. And that's what I'll say with a lot of this. It doesn't delve into these things long enough for it to feel like it was earned. The character change was earned in him.
Yeah, it is weird. It's it's 3 issues of this, mm-hmm. But it does feel like we're moving along. We got to keep this going. We can't we can't go into the surfer's background. We can't explain anything. We got to keep this plot going.
And then directly after that, when there's Ben is feeling sad because Alicia seems to like the hot buff silver dude instead of him. She's blind. But anyways, it's it feels like that went really fast as well. It's these concepts you could expand, and it could have been volumes worth instead of issues worth. But then again, I read a lot of manga, and those things take forever to do things, so there's a lot more breathing room. Obviously, there's not a lot of breathing room in a 21-page issue that has to come out weekly?
Every month.
Yeah. And it's just no, I want to know more. There are so many things about this that was interesting, and I want to ask, hey, does this get brought up again? Do we delve into this anymore? And it's it makes me want to keep reading because I want to know if these things come back. But if they don't, I would feel really sad and kind of gypped.
Yeah. I think part of that sort of speaks to the production of these books. Mm-hmm. They were being churned out so quick. Mm-hmm. If maybe somebody wrote a fucking script, maybe they could plan out, story arcs. I will admit, at least this follows 3 acts. A lot of 60s comics, a lot of 50s, 60s, even going into the 70s. Mm-hmm. There's no structure to the stories. Things just sort of happen. Yeah. And that's across most Western comics. Yeah. So at least there is some structure. It's still pretty slapdash. It's still Kirby going, okay, I'm tired with this. I'm going to start drawing this. Mm-hmm. And Stan having to figure out how things fit together. But, It works. It's fun.
Yeah. So, like, compared to, like, comics that were existing at the time, this was a very well put together story.
Totally.
And, like, cohesively.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But, like, I mean, yeah, fair enough. It's, you have to get another one out each month, you know, you don't have time for that. But, like, yes, no, there's a lot of things I want to ask if these things ever get brought up again.
Yeah, okay.
The first one I have in my notes, does that dude show up again? The bald guy who becomes the Thing for a little bit.
Yes, yeah, that's the next issue. That's This Man, This Monster, where...
Yeah, no, but, like, does he come back after he's in the weird space?
2 years ago, Alex Ross put out a graphic novel where the Fantastic Four are attacked by the Negative Zone. And it's sort of set in the modern day. It could be set kind of any time after the Lee Kirby issues. But they have kids at that point, so it's sort of assumed that it's set in the modern day. So they go into the Negative Zone, and they discover that this guy has become a superhero in the Negative Zone, and he's, like, been trying to send a warning to the Fantastic Four that the positive and antimatter universes are going to collide again. So he does return. It took them like 60 years to figure out something to do with them. And they finally give him a name. I can't remember, but it's like it's like Clarence or something. It's like a really mundane name.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's a beautifully colored issue. It's all done like, what are those posters that like
Art
hippies
Deco?
have? Not Art Deco. It's like neon green and neon yellow and like neon pink, like highlighter colors almost.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, because I saw that and I was like, it feels like they're setting it up for him to come back.
Yeah.
No.
Never.
It just a random dude shows up for like an issue and a half. They didn't need to show that in there. If they cut that entire plot point out, they could have let there be more breathing room for the other things that were happening.
Totally. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and especially if he doesn't come back for another 60 years, then, like, there was really no point.
But you gotta get those kids. Kids gotta buy the next issue, man. We gotta set up plot lines.
Yeah, and I guess if I'm like, oh, but I just want, like a relatively, like, meditative moment for, like, the Thing to question, like, his relationship with Alicia and, like, his appearance and stuff. No, cannot do that. We must move quicker. That will bore the children.
Yes, correct, yes.
No. Okay, so, he does come back, but 60 years later.
Yeah.
Other question. Does Johnny get his girlfriend back? The one who gets stuck in the at the very start.
Oh, Crystal.
Yeah.
Yes, sort of. Crystal... I don't like a lot of the Inhuman stuff. I will admit, this early stuff is kind of interesting that Kirby and Lee do, but beyond that, the Inhumans are like really boring characters. Crystal comes back, she briefly dates Johnny, she briefly joins the team at one point. Somebody loses their... Oh, no, Sue's pregnant. So she briefly joins the team, and then they sort of break up, and then she dates Quicksilver from like the Avengers and X-Men comics, and they get married, but then she like doesn't like him really, and she's like, oh, maybe I'll go back to Johnny. Maybe I'll date this Black Knight guy. Like, she kind of flip-flops. Eventually, she becomes, like, ruler of all of Kree space for a brief time, which is sort of cool. I don't know. She sucks. She's lame. Crystal sucks.
Was she one of the characters that showed up because, like, Johnny needs a girlfriend?
Sort of. Except for... So Johnny had, for a time, he had a spin-off book in Strange Tales. He had spin-off stories where it was him in high school on like it was like the Jersey Shore, and he had a girlfriend in that, and she like just disappeared. It was like she was just never seen or heard from ever again. So it might be a replacement for that. And also, I don't think Kirby was drawing those books, so he probably just ignored all that stuff.
Fair enough. And then the last one I think I have about that... Oh, two more. Who is the big man that Johnny goes to school with?
Wyatt Wingfoot.
Yeah.
He's a cool character. He's awesome.
He's big.
He's there on a football scholarship, but he wants to be I think he wants to be a scientist, right?
He doesn't want to do sports.
He doesn't want to do sports.
Yeah.
It's one of those cases where Marvel Comics, even though, like, obviously they weren't, I'm not going to say that they were, like, woke or whatever, but they were pretty socially progressive in that there was, like, no stereotypes with Wyatt. Like, he never goes on, like, he doesn't soul search or anything. He's not friends with the animals or anything. He's like a scientist. He wants to, like, do science. And he'll join the Fantastic Four on adventures. He ends up dating She-Hulk for a while. I think he joined S.H.I.E.L.D. at one point, maybe. He's cool.
Is he just like a big dude who wants to be a scientist?
Yeah, he's just a guy.
Doesn't have any special...
No.
Because, like, there's the time where, like, I really like this, where, like, it's introducing, like, Johnny and Wyatt in the dean's office, and then, to avoid telling you anything about Wyatt, Johnny has, like, an existential moment when he goes off and, like, thinks about everything that's just happened, and then he comes back just after everything about Wyatt has been said. So, like, you as the reader, you don't get to know yet. But I think that was actually done really well, and I liked it, because it didn't feel like too overt or too ham-fisted or anything. I was like, nice way to make it so we don't hear what's being said. So I was like, ooh, there's something about him. It's not like he's hiding some secret power or anything.
No, and he never puts on a costume. Like,
so
he's
why
just a regular guy.
So then why couldn't we know anything about him? Because they had to make us come back for the next issue?
Yeah, like, he's a recurring character. He keeps showing up.
Yeah.
Through this second half of the 100 Stan and Jack issues.
Yeah. And then, so the Silver Surfer goes off, and he, like, seems like he's gonna do some soul searching or something. When does he come back next? Does he come back?
He comes back... Silver Surfer was so popular that he did come back in Fantastic Four, I think it was like 12 issues later, like a year later, which Kirby hated. He wanted this to be a one and done. He didn't want to touch these characters ever again after. But Stan loved them.
Well, yeah, maybe don't end... Oh, right, because the dialogue was not made by Kirby. Because the last thing he says is, the Silver Surfer shall return.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, he's going to come back. Cool, I can't wait to see his character grow.
Yes, he gets duped. It's sort of like the movie. He gets duped by Doctor Doom into transferring his cosmic powers to him. And so there's a battle between Doctor Doom and the Fantastic Four with the Silver Surfer, like the fate of the Silver Surfer. And then in his own spin-off book, after traveling all of the Earth and discovering all of its beauties and all of its horror, eventually gains back his cosmic ability to ride the spaceways. And he travels outer space. His solo title is really good. You can tell that Stan is actually writing that book. He's so cool, man. Silver Surfer's awesome.
Cool. Well, I'm glad that he does eventually come back, and that wasn't one of the plot things that they just forgot about for 60 years.
Yeah.
Yay!
No.
Okay, good. I mean, I would like to talk about Galactus a little bit more, and, like, his ideology, and, like...
I got a question for you.
Yeah?
I recall when we were in school, you wrote a script that I don't know if you ever produced, about a man and his relationship with an uncaring, unfeeling God.
Yeah.
How do you feel that compares to this?
I mean, I like the unfeeling, uncaring God who is more powerful than things. Like, I have in some of my stories characters like that, because I think it's really fun to explore the way that that kind of person interacts with humans and how that kind of being would exist. Usually when I write it, it's that there is some humanity in those characters, because A, it'd be really boring if they didn't, and B, if they're interacting with humans in some way we're like the creators of humans, there has to be some correlation.
Right.
Yeah. I usually go like, oh, that character, like, is disconnected, but feels some sort of the things that humans can, usually something to do with loneliness, or some type of existential feelings, because that's just personally what I like writing about. But I think they're great characters to explore, because they do reveal a lot about human nature in the process.
Do you have what's your relationship with cosmic horror? Have you ever read Lovecraft, or...
No.
You ever seen The Thing, or any John Carpenter movies, or...
Not really.
No? Okay.
Yeah, I don't really like, not a lot of, like, the cosmic horror part of it. I like exploring that more from, like a philosophical point of view, where it's just, like, there's horror, sure, but that's not the main aspect. I don't like having characters that are just, like, so powerful it's terrifying.
Yeah.
I like it that they're so powerful that, like, on a human level, they don't connect with humans. And, like the personality and emotions-wise, not just, like, big, sublime, horrifying.
Right.
Yeah.
So you connect with, like, constantly throughout the book, the Fantastic Four describe humanity as, like, we're like insects to him. I feel like what a mosquito feels like when they've been swatted. That kind of thing. You're interested in that kind of dilemma, that dynamic?
Yeah, and I like when I didn't know anything really about Galactus before reading this, and I like thought it was going to be like, oh, just super powerful big bad guy. He's going to be like a normal type of evil. But no, like I think like the Watcher said at one point in time, he's not evil. He's Galactus.
Right.
Yeah. And it's like, because he's like so powerful, and like, it's not like he's doing any of this out of malicious intent.
Right.
It's just what he does. And there's just no point in thinking about the things. It's like, if an exterminator, their job is to get rid of ants, they're not gonna not get rid of ants because these ones have a slightly nicer house or anything.
Yeah.
And I like that. I was like, oh, cool. So he's not, like, going out his way to be like, oh, I want to devour worlds because, like, oh, it makes me feel better. Woo. It's just what he does. And it's like, oh, there's this being that exists on such, like, a higher level than humans. You have to think, oh my god, what place do I have in the universe? Do I mean nothing? Woo, existentialism, my favorite. And then there's also the part when he's, like, gets defeated, and there's the, what is it called? The nullifier?
The ultimate nullifier.
Yeah. So, what I like about that is, like, I thought, like, when he was like, okay, I'll stop, just hand me the nullifier. And I was like, oh no, he's gonna give him the nullifier, he's gonna, like, break it and be like, haha, fools, I tricked you, I'm going to still eat your planet. But then he's like, no, you got me, like, I'll go off and do another one. And I was like, cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
He's a god of his word. He's not gonna
No, I
go
love
against
that.
him.
And I was like, that's cool. So, like, yeah, he's not duplicitous or anything. Maybe he's, like, above that. I just think he's a great character, and, like, I was like, oh, how are the Fantastic Four going to beat this all-powerful god? They're not going to be able to punch him hard enough. They are, I don't know, in the whole pantheon of superheroes, they don't really seem that powerful.
That's the thing. Marvel has tried to justify the power levels of these characters. When they first came out, clearly it was, like, riffs on, like, B-movies and stuff, right? It's like, the Invisible Man, and now it's an Invisible Girl, and the guy he lights on fire.
Ooh, this man is stretchy!
and this guy is made of rock, right? Like,
yeah. So, like, they're not very powerful.
No.
So it's like, how are they going to defeat him? I was like, oh, I'm actually interested in how to defeat them, and they defeat him in an interesting way. It's not like, you know, in a lot of manga, they're like, oh, I just have to power up how powerful I am in the middle of the fight by, like, I don't know, getting over childhood trauma or the power of friendship. Which is, like, you know, fun, but, like, you know, if you're reading Bleach and it happens for the 70 millionth time, you're like, okay, anyways. So, like, I like that about that. I don't know if it was subversive at the time, but it kind of feels like it.
There's a little bit of that when Johnny's gets trapped in Galactus' ship, and he has to, like, think about his friends back home to grab the null. But you're right, there are actually stakes in the story, as opposed to, like, modern blockbusters where it's CGI things hitting other CGI things.
And I like that, and I wonder, these aspects that I like about it, were they done on purpose, or is this another iteration of comic writers do a smart thing by accident?
I'm only willing to give Stan and Jack the benefit of the doubt, because I know that they're both well-read.
Uh-huh.
That being said, there are a lot of accidents and happenstance in these comics.
Yeah.
Stan was notorious for forgetting people's names.
Yes.
Jack would get bored of what he was drawing, so he would draw something completely different, panel to panel. Mm-hmm. And then you have to mash those two personalities together. So there were mistakes in these comics. But the good stuff is just so good. That first appearance of Spider-Man, the first, 50 issues of Spider-Man are incredible. When Jack comes back to Thor, he does the origin and then he leaves for a while, but when he comes back to Thor, and it's Stan and Jack on Thor, that stuff reads like Shakespeare. It's incredible. So I don't know. I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt, even when they screw up.
Yeah, because I'm like, it is good. I like it. I was like, I would like them to delve more into the aspects I like more, and, you know, make Sue a better character.
Make Sue a better character. Yeah.
Yeah. But, in terms of art, because that's what I like talking about a lot, I mean, what do you think about this art for these issues?
He's the king. Kirby's the king. He belongs on the Mount Rushmore of American comics. I'll say American comics. When you look at his shading, it shouldn't work. It doesn't make any sense. The lighting source is never apparent. But it looks so freaking cool. Mm-hmm. His stipple dots, his little Kirby crackle that he does for space and for energy is incredible. Nobody was doing stuff like that. He figured out how to draw metal properly before any other American artist did. He can fight me on that. He's just awesome. All of his panels are composed in weird and strange ways, but they're all readable somehow. He's the best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Art-wise, I really like the space parts of this. Galactus' ship looks awesome. This is a great panel. it's got so many colors, but it works, and like there's not a lot of black in the space, but it's still readable as space. It's kind of abstract. Feels out of this world. Love it. The only thing I don't like about this one panel, it's like, oh, it's huge! But then, like, the Human Torch is, like, pretty big in the panel, so it doesn't feel as big. Like, it feels, like, the ship feels huge compared to the planets around it, so you can feel that scale. I just wish he was, like, smaller. Like, you have him in the previous panels of he's the red Human Torch with his yellow energy behind him. You could just had just a line. It could have been a yellow line with a red dot at the end.
Yeah.
And then that would have really helped with the scale, but, like, what am I gonna do? Nitpick this art? I mean, I just did,
yeah.
but like, should I?
That's
no. Yeah. And also, my favorite thing about this art-wise is, like, the photo collage, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
For, what is that space?
They call it subspace in this issue. Later, it's called the negative zone.
Mm-hmm. No, those two, I think there's 2 instances of it in these 4, issues, and like that's cool.
It's so
I
cool.
love that.
Yeah. Kirby was sort of experimenting with this on covers in the 40s and 50s, as I understand. This is like the first time he starts doing it in interiors, and it looks amazing. It
is like a photo collage?
It is a photo collage.
Yeah.
It is cut up, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's so cool. I'm like, yeah. If there was more of this, would love that. I mean, like, sure, you have to keep it special for the really, like, hard-hitting parts of, like, yes, this is a space that, like, humans aren't really supposed to be in. So it has to look different than the rest of the comic.
Right, yeah.
But like, oh, yeah, it's really cool. It does that jarring thing. It gives you that tension where it's different than what you expect. And so it feels as strange as it should, which is, like, a hard thing to do. Like, oh, how do you depict something that humans shouldn't be able to comprehend when we comprehend all the things we make, because, like, we have to. It's like, if you make something, well, that's a thing humans can conceive.
Right.
So how do you get out of that? You put something so vastly different into a world that has its own visual style so strongly.
Right.
It's just, boom, different.
If I look at a tree, I might not know what kind of tree it is, but I know in general what a tree is supposed to be. Mm-hmm. His depiction of subspace is like, if you're a 2D person like Reed Richards is, and you see these weirdly shaded things, it would be completely alien and even nauseating, right?
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, no, like, that as a poster would look so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, like, art-wise, that's my favorite part about this. There's other things I could complain about, but I will not.
Would you take a full comic of Cut Up? I know Stan loved Italian fumetti, and if he had it his way, I think a lot more comics would just be like photographs of people with word balloons coming out of them.
Yeah.
But I know, like, the fans hated this. They really did not. They thought it was lazy.
So, like, I don't like in comics when people use images. I mean, like, I know, like, a lot of people, and, like, sure, I use photos as reference all the time, but, like, sometimes, like, especially in, like, manga, I think, people will take pictures and then put a filter over it so that it looks like it fits into the rest of the art, and it's not, like, hand-drawn. I don't like that.
Yeah.
I think I get it, like, everyone's on a time crunch, but for me, personally, artistically, I do not like.
Yeah.
I think it is lazy. If there was a perfect world, like, you know, I don't think anyone would need to do that, because they could take as long as they want to render a beautiful background. But I'm just like, no. So, like, if it was a comic of just cutouts of pictures talking, no. You know what? Go take pictures. But if you want to be a comic artist, don't do that. The point of having a drawn medium is that you draw it, and you don't. This is why I don't like photorealistic art in comics, is because it doesn't have that dynamic sense that comics, like, have.
Yeah.
If you want to represent humans photorealistically as they would in photos, you can take pictures, you can have a movie, you can have a TV show in live action. That's the point of live action. But if you're going to draw something, you're going to animate something, it's like that for a reason. And it's because you can twist reality in a way that photos and real life cannot emulate.
You're sounding like me. Remember when, in class, we would be shown those, like, it'd be like animated comics where it would be like one panel would have like a GIF, or it would be what was that one? It was like a 3D space where like it was like VR and you would like look at different panels and like.
And you're like, that's not the point.
It's not comics.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, maybe we're just purists or whatever. But it's like, every medium exists for a reason.
Yeah.
There's a reason you draw something versus why you take a picture of something versus why you paint something. Like, even for traditional media, there's a reason I will paint something over I will do an ink drawing. It's because the medium fits the content best. Maybe that's why you shouldn't make live-action shows of animated series. Oh my god! But, like, whatever. I have opinions, obviously. Woo.
Yeah.
What a surprise.
Yeah.
But, like, I think perhaps it's because these photo collages are abstract and they're not trying to represent something, like, figurative. That's why it works. This is trying to show something that is absurd and undescribable to humans. And so it works. I would even accept if there's something like this where they went into this weird space and just for a little bit, like, the humans in this space were, like, drawn of cutout photos.
Right.
Because it's, like, so strange and weird that it has to show that somehow visually. But a whole comic of that? No. Just do anything but that. Gross.
This is an anti-Fumetti podcast.
Oops.
That's okay.
Yeah. But oh, what a surprise. I have opinions on the aesthetics and art of comics. Ooh.
Yeah.
Never would have guessed.
That makes sense. Can we call this colonizer fiction?
Explain.
Do we have the authority to even do that? I don't know.
Do you think, while creating this, they had any intent of touching on those topics?
Kirby might have been thinking about that. I don't think so, though. No.
Yeah. I didn't get any sense of that. It felt more like, it was just like, we want to have a super powerful, godlike bad guy. And we're talking about things more philosophically than, like, making a direct comparison to any colonizing.
Right.
Because there is no actual colonizing here.
That's
like,
not true.
Fair.
Galactus is going to farm Earth. People are already there.
That is true. But, like, he doesn't succeed, and it just... There's definitely comics that I think fit that better and on purpose. This feels like you could, like, shove it in if you wanted to, just like I can shove in, their collective most horrifying thing to see is giant white man about to devour their planet. But, like, I don't think it really has much to do with the story. There's definitely, like, stronger things you could talk about.
I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. You talk about authorial intent. Like,
yeah.
I think Tarzan is colonial fiction.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, for sure, the author did not mean it like that. He wanted to do adventure stories, and he had a prejudice, so he made it a white guy doing that, when in reality, in the jungles of Africa, there wouldn't be a white guy running around in a loincloth. That's insane.
Yeah.
So I'm hesitant to say that just because whether or not authorial intent makes it colonizer or anti-colonizer fiction. I'm not sure.
I didn't feel like, did you feel like there was any, like, prejudices, like, apparent in here? Like, you saying Tarzan, it was a white guy running through jungle, obviously not, no. Is it like, and do you feel that in any of the way anything's depicted in this? Besides perhaps, like, taking some aspects of Galactus's design?
The other thing is, if we're looking at the word, technically, the Fantastic Four, they are colonizers. They colonize space. They're astronauts. Reed Richards tries to colonize the negative zone when he tries to explore it. The other thing is, Stan really was thinking about, like, how do I approach kind of social topics in these books? And the next issue after This Man, This Monster is the Black Panther saga. They go to Africa and they go to Wakanda. So something was on their minds.
So it might have been like they were like just a couple of those ideas got into this before they fully fleshed it out in the next series.
Yeah. And maybe they didn't have the capacity to totally, explain it or rationalize it yet.
Too many aspects to cram into these 4 issues.
And also these guys aren't politicians. They're New York schlubs doing an office job.
Yeah.
But I think something was on their mind.
And then it got more concrete and obvious in the Black Panther part that happens next.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. One other thing I want to talk about Galactus is, before Galactus, was there any characters that were like God in these superhero comics?
Now, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Because this is a Comics Code book,
Mm-hmm.
they were not allowed to call Galactus God, or a god.
Yeah.
Which is strange, because they were also publishing Thor.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I think they were calling them the Prince of Thunder in those books, but...
Even, like, God, not capital G, would be
right,
allowed.
like the mythological god.
Like, they couldn't even use
They were really trying to avoid that.
Mm-hmm.
So this does say something about them trying to take a risk. They're sort of maybe gambling a little bit.
Yeah, maybe, Galactus starts with G. He's not evil. He's
got
Galactus.
a big G on his chest. That's what I'm saying.
So it's like, obviously they didn't specifically say he's God, but like we can interpret based on his powers and his like unfeeling nature, and that he is a stand-in for a godlike character.
I mean, he has a herald. That's that's a biblical notion.
His
right?
angel, his little angel. He is colored like white and kind of like ethereally,
right?
But in a superhero way. So before Galactus, was there any characters like that with that kind of supreme power?
No, I don't think so. And if there were, I think, I don't know, I haven't read everything that was published before Fantastic Four number 50, but it wouldn't surprise me if it would be like the Wizard of Oz, where it's like, don't look behind the curtain, and it's just some guy pretending to be some all-powerful thing, right? Like, I think people were hesitant, even in the radical 60s, to like question the white Catholic or Protestant, if you're American, kind of way of life. This comes pretty close.
Yeah. But like it's cool, and I'm like, I feel like a lot of comics, like you know, the next big thing has to be an even higher threat next time. Was this kind of like the start of having that big of a threat?
Yeah, it doesn't get bigger. It never gets bigger than Galactus.
Really?
No.
Like, in comics or Fantastic Four?
In Stan and Jack's Fantastic Four, specifically. Other people come from space. You know, they're constantly fighting Doctor Doom and the Submariner, but those are both terrestrial characters. They, like, time travel, you know? They go to the negatives. Like, the closest thing would be the negative zone, which is another dimension outside of even, quote-unquote, God's touch, right? So, I don't think they're... At least at that time, there was nothing like this.
Yeah, and I'm like, nowadays it kind of feels like the comic landscape is like inundated with so many of characters like that, and it feels like, especially in the movies, they always make the threat like Galactus size.
Right.
Where it's like, oh, the Earth is literally going to perish, we have another space god out there. And it feels like it's kind of like overdone nowadays.
It totally is.
But, like,
I mean, when Kirby leaves, he goes off to DC, what does he do? He does the new gods, right? Of Orion and Darkseid, all those characters. And then when he comes back to Marvel, what does he do? He does the Eternals, and what are they called? The Celestials. They're literally called the Celestials, which are... They look a lot like Galactus, but they're giant godlike beings who roam the universe and give their judgment.
Yeah. So I feel like in comics and like storytelling in general, there's always like, you don't want to make like threats like too big, because then you always have to make it bigger.
Yeah.
Which, like, I don't know, manga always, like, so many series do that, where you're like, there's a threat, and they're like, oh, a threat, and then by the end of it, they're like, oh, wow, this threat is, like, world-destroying, you got so much bigger, there's aliens, there's space now, huh?
What was Goku's brother's name again?
No.
Goku's brother shows up, he's the most powerful character we've ever fought.
Broly? Was it Broly?
No, Broly's way after, he's even more powerful.
Yeah. So it's like, it always feels like things get, like, so much bigger.
Yeah.
And I think, like, this, standing by itself, if like nothing bigger happened after it, like, I like that. It's like self-contained, and the stakes are high, and it doesn't feel like it has to like get bigger than something just for the sake of getting bigger. No, it's like, it feels like they had to fight a god and they were trying to say something. And so I like that about it. It's not like, oh, we gotta make the next threat even bigger than what we just had. Because, like, at the start they fight the, what are those people that they defeat at the very start of this? The people who get stuck in the dome?
Oh, the Inhumans.
Yeah, because, like, I was, like, really surprised when they were talking. They're like, oh, this one guy, he's, like, so strong. blah, blah, blah. Oh, he's like the strongest character. Who's that guy? He's like Black something?
Black Bolt.
Yeah. They're like, oh, he's like the strongest character ever. And I'm like, oh, that's starting off putting the stakes real high. And then they just, like, it ends. And you're like, okay, well, I don't really care about that.
Yeah. Yeah, Black Bolt, who a single whisper could shatter a mountain.
Yeah, that feels a lot more like...
And then he gets encased in a dome.
Yeah. That feels a lot more like, oh, we had to make a character seem like a bigger threat. And just because we had to make it bigger. It's like with Galactus, it feels like sure, they were making it for the 50th issue anniversary, but it feels like rationalized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially because he comes from outer space, right? And that is in essence the origin, right?
Yeah.
The Fantastic Four are of the stars, so their final threat should also be of the stars.
Yeah, and like even more and like above that almost.
Right, yeah.
So like, yeah, no, I like that. It was like a super big threat that felt like it fit, and it wasn't just, gotta make an even stronger person, so this movie feels like higher stakes than the last one. Woo!
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't talk about that there's a movie coming out, apparently.
Yeah.
Gender bent Silver Surfer?
Yes. So, because the movie... this is how they're rationalizing it so nerds don't get mad.
Uh-huh.
The movie's set in an alternate reality from the usual Marvel movies.
Uh-huh.
So, like, Iron Man doesn't exist and Spider-Man doesn't exist. Therefore, instead of the classic Silver Surfer, Norrin Radd, becoming Galactus' herald, his girlfriend, Shalabal, instead makes the sacrifice and becomes the Silver Surfer. Which is, I mean, you're splitting hairs. No audience member actually gives a shit about any of that. But I think it also opens the opportunity for them to do, like, multiple Silver Surfers, maybe. Which, I don't know. It seems a little cowardly to me. Just make it a girl Silver Surfer. I don't care. I know lots of nerds care. I don't.
All I could think is when you said there's girl Silver Surfer, I was like, can she and Alicia kiss?
Yeah, I wonder if Alicia's gonna show up.
Because, I mean, you said, I have no idea about this movie, but I am way more interested in it based on what you said than when you talked about, like, a few weeks ago about, oh, they're making a new Superman movie. That didn't sound interesting. This sounds more interesting. You're like, if you said seems like it's gonna be a straight adaptation of the Galactus
Pretty straight adaptation. They're gonna truncate some things, so by the time that Galactus arrives, Sue will already be pregnant.
Okay.
Which adds, I don't know, kind of problematic. It adds some danger to the character, but whatever. Makes sense. You gotta do it with the mythology. We haven't seen it yet in a movie. Mm-hmm. But it seems like they're trying to do a straight adaptation. And that's also why it's not set in the MCU, because there's no other superheroes that deal with Galactus, right? Yeah.
Which is good, because when I was reading this, I was thinking, are there other superheroes that could do a better job of fighting Galactus than these four dudes? Just like
there's so
stretchy man.
There's so many comics where Thor goes, have at thee, and he flies directly into Galactus' big dumb head. There's like at least 4 issues where that happens.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't want to see Captain America fight Galactus. No. You know? Maybe I want to see Spider-Man fight Galactus, but like it fits. It works.
I'm like, well, I just want from this movie, can they please, like, maybe like, expand on some of the things I want to expand on? Let's have a little bit more of how Silver Surfer becomes more human. Expand on that.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen.
No! I was like, even, she could fall through Alicia's window, and then they like, hang out a little bit, and they just be friends, and, like, wow, a friend, like, feel that connection, maybe humans are worth living, like, letting live.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be nice.
That'd be nice.
You don't think that's going to happen?
No, I don't think so. I do think they're going to dwell into Johnny and the cosmic horror of going into space for the first time. Mm-hmm. I think the trailers have kind of teased that a little bit, just through some bits and pieces. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still more interested in this than the Superman movie. I'm not going to watch the Superman movie, but I actually think I want to watch this one now. Because,
interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh.
It just seems like it's more interesting. It's not going to be a retread of something that already
Right.
exists.
That's also true. We haven't seen Galactus on screen ever.
Is he going to look like this, you think?
He will look like this.
Okay, I'm still interested.
It probably won't be bright purple, but he'll be purple.
Yeah, okay, I want them to do the bright purple. Why not? I don't want the superhero movies to be all like ugly and dark colors. Don't care. Yeah, make it if it's based on these comics, make them as bright and colorful. Why not?
I agree.
So many movies these days are like boring and dreary.
Just horrible color grading and lighting. Yeah.
Yeah, just don't slap the shitty beige filter over everything or dark blue. No, make it colorful.
Yeah.
So, like, anyways, I'm still interested to see it.
Well, that's cool.
Woo! I don't know if I'll watch it in theaters, but hey, I don't know, maybe! Maybe I will. You know what? I don't live too far away from a movie theater. It's never busy.
So we agree that Galactus Trilogy, still one of the greatest comics of all time, still worth its weight in salt?
I think it's still good. You say one of the greatest comics of all time. Like, I think this was groundbreaking at the time. There's not too much about that's groundbreaking to me right now. I wouldn't put it way up super high. I mean, like, maybe for what it stands for, like, concept of what it stands for and how it affected the comic landscape around it, you can say it's very important. You know, I like the black square for what it means thematically and where it showed up in art history, but, like, at the end of the day, it's a black square. But, like, no, I think it's very good for what it is.
For what it is.
Yes. But, like, I enjoyed reading it. I didn't read it and think, ugh, why is there so many freaking caption boxes? There weren't as many caption boxes as I thought there was going to be.
Yeah, I was surprised. This was a pretty easy read.
Yeah, no.
For a Stan Lee written comic book.
And I think it was really good compared to some of the things I've read from around this time. So, like, I enjoy. It made me want to read more of it. It made me want to see the movie based on it. So, like, I think, it did its job. It was good.
That's good.
Yeah.
I think that's all we can hope for.
Woohoo!
What kind of thesis do we go with on here? Is the Galactus Trilogy cosmic horror? Or is it cosmic optimism?
I think it's as cosmic horror as it could be for, like, this kind of comic. This is written for younger audiences. Yeah. Not, like, super young, but, like...
Stan was aiming for, like, 12, 13 years old.
Yeah, and you can't make that straight-up Lovecraftian.
Yeah.
Kids aren't going to want to read that, but for what it was intended to be, I think that, yes, it could count as cosmic horror. Some of it's horrifying. The fact that Johnny went through what he did, that's horrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think, yes, you could count it as cosmic horror.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And we could count it as good.
And good.
Yay! Do you like this one? I assume you like this one?
I love it.
Yeah.
It's like I said, it's one of the greatest comics of all time. Kirby's one of the greatest artists of all time. Stan Lee is a writer who is good. I looked up to him as a kid. Maybe not so much now, but he's important for comics. Yeah. Thanks for listening. You can find me, Jack Stewartson, at Phantom Power Press on Blue Sky.
And me, Diane, on Instagram at One Little Gremlin. That's 1_little_gremlin.
If you'd like to follow the show, you can do so on Blue Sky and Pink Sky. That's at panelpalspodcast.bsky.social. All of our links are in the show notes. If you like the show, please rate and review on your podcast provider of choice. Panel Pals is a Jack Stewartson, Diane Hitchens co-production with editing by Jack Stewartson. Our musical theme is Found by StemChan.